Hey there friends and folks, today I wanted to walk you through some of my favorite ways to jazz up your wire wrap briolettes. In this video I'll brush over how to create a coiled cap, a messy wrap, and a beaded bail. I'll put timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip forward to those at any time. And the tools we'll be using today are our chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, needle nose pliers, and if you don't have needle nose, your chain nose are just fine, and our wire cutters. And for each demonstration today, I'll be using one of these three lovely briolettes. They're all a bit on the larger side, for which if I were doing a basic wire wrap bail, I would probably opt for a 24 gauge wire, but because we're trying to get some itty bitty detail in there, I'll be using a 26 gauge today. So first up we have our coiled cap. I've got this lovely dyed amethyst briolette, and instead of cutting a length of wire to start, I will be wrapping directly from the coil to minimize my wire waste. I'm going to start pretty much the same way as I would with your standard bail, but instead of cutting off my excess wire 1 to 2 wraps after my loop, I'm going to continue coiling my wire down in a tight fashion until I've covered as much of the point of the briolette as I desire. For myself, this usually means I go just past the drill of the bead, so I've covered those nubbins of wire coming out the sides and create a more flush look. And then I cut my tail so that the coil ends on what would be the quote-unquote back side of the briolette, so it's sort of hidden from the front. And there you have it, a super simple coiled cap for your briolette. Second up, we have our messy cap, which is very similar to our coiled cap, but stylistically looks different enough that I wanted to make it its own demonstration with this PT Moonstone. So similar to the coiled cap, I'll build directly off of this full spool of wire and create my basic bail up to the point where I would cut and tuck my tail. I'll instead start wrapping the point of the bead in a messy fashion, changing the angle of each wrap, so instead of doing a simple coil downwards, we're getting a nest or tornado effect. Also, as with the coiled cap, I will usually bring down my wrap low enough to cover the drill of the bead, and I'll just keep zigzagging my wire around until I find a size and shape that I'm satisfied with. I'll then cut my wire so that the tail falls on the back side of the briolette, and I'll find a break in the wraps to tuck it in. And there you have it, your messy wrap. Now our final briolette wrap style is one that I reserve typically just for larger briolettes because it can easily overwhelm smaller briolettes in pieces. This is going to be our beaded briolette, and we're going to incorporate super tiny beads, often referred to as seed beads, into a messy wrap. Rule of thumb, I typically opt for an odd number of accent beads to be incorporated into this wrap because I find the final product tends to look more balanced than if I were to use an even number. So for this piece today, I'll be using 5 of these little baby freshwater seed pearls, and my briolette is this Tourmalated Quartz. So because I'm wrapping directly from my spool, before I start wrapping, I'm actually going to thread my seed pearls onto my wire. Once I have those threaded, then I'll begin the motions of beginning my messy wrap. And I'm going to go ahead and create my first 2 to 3 messy wraps. I want to cover a good range of area with these wraps because this is going to create kind of an outline. We're going to be paying attention to the negative spaces we're leaving because those are the spaces where we will settle our beads into. After my first few wraps, as I come back around for the next wraps, I'll begin bringing these seed pearls in and really just kind of squeeze them in wherever they fit naturally. As I wrap, I also want to wrap and weave between the pearls because this will help further secure them in place. I'll keep wrapping around and incorporating pearls until I've run out of pearls and until I've reached a size and shape that I am happy with. I will then cut my tail and leave enough to weave directly into this nest of copper and pearls, so it's hidden and out of sight. And after some finagling, you have your beaded bail. And there you have it, 3 simple variations of your wire-wrapped bail. Let me know if you have a favorite down below, and of course, if you have any question, you can drop those down there as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and until next time, take care and bead well.